There is a moment, about 3 weeks into testing this drone, where I stopped treating it like a toy. I was on a single-track trail, moving faster than I probably should have been on a bike, and I didn't touch a single button. I didn't land it. I didn't stop recording. I just lifted my hand, and the drone slid from behind me to my left shoulder mid-ride, weaving through a gap in the trees like it had done this 100 times before. It hadn't. It was me, testing a $200 drone that, on paper, shouldn't be able to do any of that. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why that moment happened, why DJI changed almost everything about how you control a drone like this. And stick around for this part, specifically why the way you buy this thing could save or cost you $100 depending on what you already own. I made that mistake once. I'm not letting you make it. The new display. This next feature is small physically but genuinely changes the day-to-day experience of using the drone. There's now a digital screen on the front of the drone next to the camera that actually displays your flight parameters and current mode in real time. On the original Neo, you could see which mode you'd selected, but the actual numbers was your follow distance set to high or low. What was your tracking distance were essentially invisible unless you pulled out your phone and checked the app. Now you get that information at a glance, standing right there in the field without touching your phone at all. Switching between modes has also changed. There are 2 buttons on the side of the drone, now forward and back, that lets you cycle through tracking, follow, master shots, droney, and spotlight, with the current selection displayed right there on that little screen. It might look like a quick flicker on camera, but in person, it's genuinely easy to read and navigate. Field adjustable parameters. Here's an upgrade I didn't expect to care about this much until I actually used it in the field. With the original Neo, changing something as simple as your follow distance or altitude meant connecting to the DJI Fly app every single time. That's mildly annoying at home. It's genuinely frustrating when you're standing on a trail, hands full, trying to adjust your shot on the fly. The Neo 2 fixes this completely. Press and hold those same 2 side buttons, and the parameters start flashing on that little display. You can cycle directly through distance options. Adjust them right there. Then press the takeoff button to lock it in and exit. No phone, no app, no fumbling with a touchscreen in the sun trying to find the right menu. This is one of those changes that sounds minor in a spec sheet and turns out to be one of the most used features once you're actually out shooting. Related to that same idea of field convenience, you can now go into the app ahead of time and customize exactly which flight modes show up when you're cycling through them on the drone itself. If you know you only ever use, say, droney and cycling follow, you can strip the menu down to just those 2, so you're not wasting time clicking past 4 modes you never touch. It's a small thing, but it's the kind of small thing that adds up across dozens of shoots. New intelligent flight modes. DJI added several brand new autonomous modes with this release, and they're genuinely tailored to specific use cases rather than being generic filler features. There's a dedicated cycling tracking mode, fine-tuned specifically for the speed and movement patterns of riding a bike. There's a new skiing mode built for exactly what it sounds like if that's your sport. The tracking parameters are specifically tuned for it. There's a new dolly zoom effect, which is a cinematic trick that used to require serious equipment and now happens with the press of a button. Master Shots returns, automatically capturing a variety of cinematic angles and editing them together into a finished clip for you. And then there's the one that genuinely surprised me, a new selfie mode that works far better than I expected going in. You set your preferred shot types in the settings, launch the drone, and it automatically captures a sequence: a wide shot, a close-up, a high angle, a low angle, all without you touching a single control. Whether you're capturing yourself solo or with a group, it's a remarkably simple way to get professional-looking variety in your shots. The feature changes everything. Alright, this is the section I told you about at the very beginning of this video, and if you've made it this far, this is genuinely the reason to watch the rest. Tracking is, in my opinion, the single biggest upgrade on the entire Neo 2, and it's not close. I use autonomous tracking drones constantly in my own work, and I can tell you exactly why this update matters so much. First, raw speed. The original Neo could track you at up to 8 meters per second. The Neo 2 pushes that to 12 meters per second, a genuinely significant jump that opens up faster activities like cycling and skiing as viable subjects rather than something the drone would simply struggle to keep up with. But speed isn't even the headline change. The real transformation is in how many angles you can track from and how easily you can switch between them. On the original Neo, you had exactly 2 options, front or rear, and switching meant landing the drone, stopping your recording, manually repositioning, and relaunching. That's a workflow killer if you're in the middle of of an activity. The Neo 2 gives you 8 tracking angles, directly accessible from an on-screen interface in the DJI Fly app front, rear, both sides, and all 4 diagonal positions. You simply tap the direction you want, and the drone repositions itself automatically while continuing to record, with 0 interruption. If you're on a bike and you want the shot to suddenly shift from behind you to your front left diagonal, you tap once. You don't stop pedaling. You don't stop recording. It just happens. And the tracking itself is noticeably more stable and more accurate than before. It handles tight corners, dense tree cover, and sudden direction changes with a level of confidence the original simply didn't have, especially when tracking from the front, where the drone has to predict your next move rather than simply follow where you've already been. If you're a mountain biker, a trail runner, a hiker, or anyone who captures fast-paced outdoor content, this single feature might be worth the price of admission on its own. Gesture control. Building directly on that tracking upgrade, the Neo 2 also introduces gesture control, and this is where things start to feel genuinely futuristic rather than gimmicky. Voice control was already present on the original Neo, and it's still here, but gestures are new, and they let you physically reposition the drone just by raising your palm, adjusting altitude, distance, or angle, all without touching your phone or a controller. I want to be fair here, this isn't the very first drone to attempt gesture control. DJI tried something similar years ago on the Spark, but the execution on the Neo 2 is a different league entirely. It's accurate, it's responsive, and it just makes sense the moment you try it. Hiking through a forest, riding a bike, walking with a group, you can reposition the drone in real time without ever breaking stride. And it's not limited to tracking either. Even in spotlight mode. Say you're vlogging and just want the framing to shift slightly, a simple hand gesture handles it. One more safety-focused addition worth mentioning, Return to Home now works when you're flying manually with virtual joysticks or using the intelligent flight features, not just in fully autonomous mode. If you lose track of the drone's position or simply want it back in hand, a single tap brings up a visual flight path showing you exactly the route it's about to take home. It's a small addition, but anything that reduces the odds of losing a drone in the field is worth including. How you can actually fly this thing. One of the most underrated things about this drone family has always been flexibility, and the Neo 2 continues that. You can fly it completely autonomously, no phone required at all. Press the takeoff button, the drone performs its task and returns to land directly in your palm. Connect it to your smartphone, and you unlock parameter changes, a live camera preview, and virtual joystick control. Step up to a traditional controller compatible with the RCN3, RCN2, and DJI RC2, and you get significantly extended range along with far more precise manual control. And if you want the full immersive experience, it's fully compatible with the DJI Goggles N3 and Goggles 3 for FPV-style flying, and can be purchased as a kit alongside the Motion 3 controller for exactly that setup. It supports head tracking, and it includes Easy Acro mode, which lets even inexperienced pilots pull off flips, rolls, and drifting maneuvers with a single button press. Prefer a more traditional FPV setup? It's also compatible with the DJI FPV3 controller, and a recent firmware update added full manual flight mode for pilots who want complete unassisted control. Here's a real-world limitation of the original Neo that a lot of buyers ran into. It simply did not handle windy days well. Rated at a level 4 wind resistance, the Neo 2 bumps that up to level 5, and I've personally flown it on some genuinely breezy days where the original would have struggled. I want to be clear that this still isn't a Mavic 4 or Air 3S in terms of raw power against strong wind, but for its size and category, this is a meaningful, practical improvement that expands the number of days you can actually fly it. For anyone shooting primarily for social platforms, the Neo 2 captures in both landscape and vertical orientation, whether you're flying manually or using the intelligent flight features. One caveat worth knowing before you shoot: vertical capture tops out at 2.7K resolution rather than the full 4K you get in landscape, so factor that into your planning if vertical content is your primary use case. Storage and transfer speed. There's no memory card slot on this drone, same as before. So don't go hunting for one, but the internal storage has been significantly upgraded. You're now looking at roughly double the storage of the original Neo, and after weeks of heavy testing, capturing hours of footage across multiple sessions, I can tell you that storage limit has genuinely never been the thing that stopped me from flying. The bigger, quieter upgrade is transfer speed. The original Neo topped out at a noticeably slower quick transfer rate, which, if you've ever sat there watching a progress bar after a full day of shooting, you know can eat into your evening. The Neo 2 jumps to a quick transfer speed of up to 80 megabytes per second. That's the kind of upgrade that doesn't show up in marketing screenshots, but absolutely shows up in how much of your life you get back after a shoot. Battery, flight, and design. I'll be straightforward with you here because I think honesty builds more trust than hype. The flight time increase is modest, about 1 extra minute compared to the original Neo, and that's with the prop guards removed. If you were hoping for some dramatic leap in airtime, this isn't it. But I'd rather tell you the truth than oversell a spec that didn't change much. Every additional minute in the air matters when you're chasing a specific shot, a specific light condition, or trying to nail a tracking sequence before the sun drops. It's not a headline feature, but it's a welcome one. And it's not the reason to buy or skip this drone either way. Let's start with the thing you'll notice the second you pick it up. Size. Put the original Neo next to this one, and the Neo 2 is visibly bigger, not dramatically, but enough that you'll feel it in your hand. DJI clearly decided that a few extra grams were worth it for what's packed inside, and having flown both, I think that trade was the right call. It's still genuinely pocketable. That was the entire appeal of the original. You could throw it in a jacket pocket and forget it was there until you needed it, and the Neo 2 hasn't lost that. The propeller guards are removable just like before, which is worth knowing because pulling them off buys you a couple of extra minutes of flight time if you're flying somewhere open and don't need the protection. But here's the part that's actually new, and it's a design choice that tells you a lot about who this drone is built for. What to know before you buy. This little module here is the digital transceiver, and it did not exist on the original Neo. Here's what it does and why you need to pay attention if you're about to click buy. If you're planning to fly this exclusively with your smartphone using the DJI Fly app, virtual joysticks, autonomous modes, all of that, you don't need this thing installed at all. Leave it off, save the weight, and you'll have full functionality. But if you already own a compatible DJI controller and you're planning to connect it, this is what lets that happen. And here's the catch that genuinely could cost you money if nobody tells you in advance. If you buy the drone-only package, this transceiver is not automatically included. You will need to purchase it separately to unlock that 04 transmission connection. I'll walk you through exactly which packages include it later in this video, so don't check out yet if that's the route you're planning to take. Camera and video quality. Now let's talk about the part most of you actually clicked on this video for how the footage looks. The sensor size hasn't changed. It's still the same half-inch sensor as before, so if you were expecting some enormous jump in image quality, temper that expectation slightly. But DJI made 2 changes that matter more than the sensor spec on paper. They bumped the bitrate, and they added a genuine 2-axis mechanical gimbal. That combination means the camera doesn't have to digitally crop in nearly as aggressively to stabilize the shot, and that translates directly into a noticeably sharper, cleaner image in real-world footage. Practically, here's what that means for you. Flying autonomously or through your phone, you're now getting 4K at 60 frames per second, a real jump from before. Connect it to a controller, and you can push all the way to 4K at 100 frames per second, which opens the door to genuinely usable slow-motion footage, the kind you'd actually want to cut into a highlight reel rather than something that just looks choppy when you slow it down. Now, I want to set expectations honestly here, because I think too many reviewers oversell drones like this. You are not getting Mini 5 Pro level image quality out of this thing. That's not the category it's playing in. But for what it is, a drone this small, this portable, this autonomous, I've been genuinely impressed with what comes out of it. Obstacle avoidance. Here's an upgrade that sounds boring on a spec sheet and turns out to matter enormously the first time you actually need it. The Neo 2 now has omnidirectional obstacle sensing, a forward-facing LiDAR sensor, plus additional sensors on the top and bottom of the drone. On the original Neo, flying autonomously always came with this quiet background anxiety, because you weren't the one in control, and if the drone decided to take a shortcut through a branch, that was just the risk you accepted. That risk is significantly reduced now. When you're running tracking, or a circling orbit shot, or a droney pullback, the drone is actively watching for obstacles in every direction and adjusting to avoid them. What I appreciate most, though, is that DJI didn't force this on you. You can go into the settings and choose how the drone handles obstacles, brake to a stop, bypass around them, or turn the whole system off entirely. That last option matters more than people realize, because sometimes obstacle avoidance actively works against the shot you're trying to get. If you're deliberately flying close to a subject for a dramatic close pass, an overprotective sensor system can ruin that shot by refusing to let you get close. Having the option to disable it is exactly the kind of flexibility experienced pilots want. urgent close. So here's my honest, bottom line take after weeks of real testing. The DJI Neo 2 is not a toy, and it's not just a beginner's drone anymore either. It's a legitimate creative tool that happens to also be approachable enough for someone who's never flown anything in their life. Outdoor adventurer, cyclist, vlogger, weekend traveler, the tracking and gesture upgrades alone make this one of the easiest ways I've seen to capture genuinely cinematic footage of yourself without a camera operator. Now, I've only scratched the surface of what this drone can actually do in the field. Over the coming weeks, I'm putting the tracking system through a full head-to-head test against much more expensive drones. I'm taking it out in genuinely bad weather to push that wind rating to its limit, and I'm going to show you the exact settings I personally use for cycling and hiking content. None of that is coming to this channel unless you're subscribed, because I'm not making a second version of this review that footage only exists in the follow-up videos. If this drone caught your attention even a little bit, hit subscribe now, turn on notifications, and drop a comment telling me which feature you want to see tested first. I read every single one, and it genuinely shapes what I fly next. Thanks for sticking with me through this whole breakdown. I know it was a long one, but this drone deserved it. I'll see you in the next video.